16th Finance Commission, and what are the key things that you have to remember in this for your prelims exclusively. So, as you know, first highlight for this one is there are 3 new posts which have been created for 16th Finance Commission, and the cabinet has given the approval. 3 officer level posts have been created. That is a highlight point first. Now, who was the chairman? Not useful for UPSC, but for other exams it is very useful. Arvind Panagraya. Secretary Ritvik Rajanam Pandey. Please remember these names, but not for UPSC. UPSC will not ask this kind of questions, but for other exams, they are useful. So, 3 created at the level of joint secretary. In that, 2 posts of joint secretary and 1 post of economic advisor. This is what you have to remember for your prelims. So, 3 posts have been created, of which 2 posts of joint secretary level and 1 post for economic advisors, who are required to assist the commission carrying its functions. So, in this, what you have to remember, the names for other government exams, 3 posts, 2 at joint secretary level and 1 economic advisor. So, that is the whole point. Now, what are the functions of the Finance Commission? Basically, it looks into the taxes part and distribution between center and states, how much money should go to the center, how much percentage should go to the states. This is the basic major function. And the other function that it does is disaster management. These 2 things are the major criteria for Finance Commission. If you remember that, more than sufficient. So, let's look at this. Principle of tax devolution between the center and states. This is the major function. Next, revenue augmentation. How much money should be added into the system and what kind of measures have to be taken. So, this is another important point that you have to mention if you are writing your mains exam. And what are the present arrangements for disaster management? So, this is the whole point. This is what you have to remember. Now, under which act? Under the Disaster Management Act 2005. Sometimes they will change the year, therefore useful for prelims. And most important thing, chance of getting a question in prelims is, finally the report of this Finance Commission should be gone to the President. So, to the President, and it will be, and for how long will this run? This will run for 5 years, commencing April 1st, 2026. So, what you have to remember here is, final cabinet approval, after the cabinet approval, after the commission's approval, the report will be sent to the President. Once the President signs on it, the commission's recommendations will be valid for 5 years. That is what you have to remember. Right. Most important questions of prelims will come. What kind of a body is Finance Commission? Please remember, it's a quasi-judicial. So, it is not completely judicial. It has some judicial rights. Quasi fundamentally means temporary or virtual. It does not have absolute rights like a court, but it almost behaves like a court. So, quasi, that is the meaning of it. So, under Article 280, this is very useful for your prelims. Who constituted it? The President will constitute every 5th year. So, these days, since the question pattern has changed, they might ask questions. They will give you facts and ask you which of the following above are true or false, or which of the following are correct. For that kind of questions, remember this, first Finance Commission year, and who was the chairperson? It is Tish Chandra Nigoy. So, if you remember this name, what is the role of it? To make recommendations regarding sharing of central taxes with respect to the states. Now, please remember distribution of central grants, that is another important thing. Measures to improve the finances of states to supplement the resources and panchayats and municipalities. So, this whole thing, the functions part can come in prelims as single statements, and they'll ask you which of them are the following functions of Finance Commission. So, that kind of question has a greater chance of popping up in your prelims. So, please remember the functions. These are the major functions: to make recommendations for central and state taxes, distribution of central grants, measures to improve the finances and supplement for panchayats as well as municipalities. So, that is the point. Next, what are the limitations? Please remember, this is the most important point of this one. It is only advisory in nature, that is, and it is not binding. These are the 2 major points. Since it's a quasi-judicial body, it does not have any right to impose anything on anyone or any body or any person. So, it can only recommend. It is only advisory by nature and not binding. So, the recent commission, 16th, today 16th, so the last one is 15th. Who was heading it? N.K. Singh. and he said 41% of the divisible share should be gone, pool of centers should go to the states. So this, even in the 16th commission also, it has been the same. 14th commission also it was same, 15th also it is same. So there's no big change in this. So remember this, that is more than sufficient. So exclusively, my whole point is, prelims, just remember the basic points, names for other government exams and how much percentage, I think that should be more than sufficient. Thank you.